Hey, this is Matt once again with the button of the videos is a paid request, this time for Alban. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. And Alban wanted me to know, well, he wanted to know my top 15 favorite films of 2003. Now, what's interesting about this year is because where I was living at during that time period, I was near a movie theater. And because of that, very easily I could just take the bus or just walk at sometimes and just go to the theater. So if not every week, every other week I would go to the theater and like play the arcade games like Time Crisis. I forget which, it was one of the Time Crisis games. Buy the big bowl of popcorn with too much butter, which I liked, and maybe a soda, and then go in and just have a good time. Comfy seats, AC, and just enjoy the experience. And most of these films I saw in the theater, not all, but most of them. And even ones that, I mean, I don't have every one of them on the. Yeah, a good chunk of these I saw in the theater. Not every single one, but a chunk of them. And it was hard to pick because there's a lot of films this year I did enjoy, I did quite like. So, but let's get into it. Number 15, I put Wrong Turn, the first one. Yeah, it may seem like, okay, it's kind of Hills of Eyes type, but you have these redneck mutants. Instead of the desert, it's in the woods. But I didn't mind the group of characters we followed Eliza Dushku. I believe Desmond Harrington. I liked him because he usually was trying to do the smart thing. And he was a guy that wasn't just a victim. He was a guy that fought back and tried again to be a bit smarter than your average horror character. The look of the mutants I didn't mind, thanks to Stan Winston and his work. He has some cool kills. He has some pretty memorable sequences. Like there's a bit where the group of characters, the remain characters, are in this, what do you call it? One of those places that's like where a park ranger will be at, and they watch like watchtower, and the mutants have set the inbreed, whatever you know, the inbreeders. They set all these fire and stuff, so they have to find a way to escape. So they gotta traverse the trees and try to make it out alive. He has some cool looking shots. I always remember like Desmond is talking to Eliza Dushku, and all of a sudden this axe comes and almost hits him in the head. And he takes it. He's fighting back. Again, he's not a victim. He's not a pansy. And I appreciate that. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Pretty short, to the point. Uh, Not a badly paced movie. Sadly, that director didn't do a whole lot. I think he did one more film with Eliza Dushku, and then maybe a Masters of Horror. Like he disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. And let me get the director's name. But I don't know what happened to this guy. I guess he retired or something. Of course, they give me the new one. I don't want the new one. Rob Schmidt. That was the guy's name, Rob Schmidt. Yeah, he did the Alphabet Killer. And then the stuff that doesn't even show up. Fear Itself, The Spirit Box, Room for Murder, Fran K. Don't even know what any of this is. If they're actual films or short films or what. Which is too bad. It's too bad because, like I said, it was pretty decent directing effort. The only reason it's a bit lower on the list is because I don't like that. Like, it ends, the credits start, and I remember I was about ready to leave. Then all of a sudden, it starts back up again. I went, oh, they're doing a sequel bad ending. It just kind of put a little bit of like, really? You doing that cliche? You think they're dead, but they're not. Like, come on, man. Do you have to do a sequel bait ending? Really? But over that, I did enjoy the film. Number 14, I put the Basic. I did see that in the theater. One of the last films John McTiernan did, who did Die Hard and Predator. The cast does a good job. You got John Travolta, you got Samuel L. Jackson, and kind of an interesting mystery where Sam Jackson and his platoon, some shenanigans happen, some people are dead, and pretty much John Travolta has to figure out what happened during this mission, and a lot of twists and turns, and some understandably may say a bit too many twists and turns, to the point that some people will go that this is not realistic at all. It's just a bit too much hokum. But I don't know. I kind of had fun with overly the overzealous mystery angle. I thought Travolta did a great job. I really liked his character. It definitely made me intrigued to what was going to happen next involving this plot. DEA agent solving the mystery of a bungled training exercise that leads to the deaths of multiple Army Ranger trainees and their instructor. And it's the last film John McTiernan did. You also have Connie Nielsen, Giovanni Ribisi, Taye Diggs, Tim Daly, Harry Connick Jr. I think what it is I liked where the story went. How do I do it though without giving it away? The way it ended, people got very mad and upset about, but I liked it. I thought it was actually kind of refreshing. It reminded me of another film from the 80s, a horror film, I would say, a slasher film from the 80s, I'll put it that way, without saying the title of the movie, and that tickled me. So, again, I got a kick out of it, and maybe you say the movie's manipulative, but like I said, I thought it was kind of a fun type of manipulation, if that makes sense. I thought the cast did their jobs well. I thought John McTiernan, like, the movie was shot well. It was a good looking movie. It has a slick, efficient, technical style to it. So yeah, I always liked Basic. Number 13, I put Tears of the Sun, Bruce Willis film, directed by Antoine Fuqua. I know Fuqua will later say he would never want to work with Bruce Willis again, because apparently Bruce was a pain in the ass making this film. But it's pretty much people hired to get this woman and who's helping these people out with medicine and healing up their injuries. Their mission is to get her out. She doesn't want to leave her people. There's like, fine, come with us. But then when they get to the choppers, it's like, listen, we're only here for you, not for them. We don't have room on the chopper. Bruce Willis has guilt of conscience, landed. He decides to stay. His men follow. And then the group of them are going to protect this group of people from... I think it takes place in Africa. And I want to know if they mention the name, the group of the bad guys chasing them. Let me double check. A coup d'etat led by exiled General Mustafa Yakubu overthrows the president of Nigeria, sending Nigeria into chaos and causing an ethnic conflict between the Fulani Muslims and the Christian Igbo. And it's pretty much, again, this is an action film where Bruce Willis and Cole Hauser and the group of folks. Uh, Iman Walker, which I know I recognize him. Where have I seen him in? Iman Walker. Was he in? Yeah, Blood and Bone. I think he was the bad guy in Blood and Bone with Michael Jai White. So I didn't mind the cast. The action scenes again were efficient. The music I thought was pretty well done by Hans Zimmer. I thought Bruce Willis did a good job acting wise as Lieutenant A.T. Waters of the U.S. Navy. Did mind Monica Bellucci as the doctor who's trying to help as part of a humanitarian job to help these people. It's definitely easy to root for them because you see how harsh the enemy is and what they're doing to the folks over there. Nowadays, I'm sure this would be called racist or something about, oh, white people have to go save the black people. I'm sure it'd go through all that BS. And it's like, you do know Antoine Fuqua directed, right? And he happens to be black. Really? I thought he was albino. But yeah, Tears of the Sun is a pretty good one. And a lot of these movies, like, I don't have a lot of details because I'm much better, like, if I've just seen the film, it's more fresh in my mind. I do a better job at detailing what I like about a movie. There's just so many movies to try to fit in this head, I guess. Number 12, Final Destination 2. It's my favorite of that franchise. The director will go on. He directed States on a Plane, A Cellular with Chris Evans. I thought he did a really good job. Sadly, he passed away. He did good at handling the action. The opening alone, where it's showing the vision, where it's the highway massacre, where big logs are going to people's faces and blood's coming out the back windshield. People are flipping, motorcycles crashing or sliding and hitting people, crushing them. Easily one of the best directed highway carnage scenes ever. I think even Quentin Tarantino praised that scene. It just... And the rest of the movie I like. The terrors, I would say the characters, I don't like as much as the first one, but this one felt a bit more of a gusto in terms of the blood, the guts, the creativity of the kills. The end definitely has a ghoulish black humor quality. I even like the song, My Name is Death. Dun, dun, dun. I thought that was a perfect song to end the movie with. As at the end of the movie, there are survivors, but at the same time, you still have that... If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. That little extra kick of, whoops, whoa. Like, kind of that big wink to the audience, like, we know this is ghoulish fun. Here you go. I don't 100% like what they did with Ali Larter's character or Devon Sawa's character off screen. So that's probably why it's a bit lower on this list. But overall, I do like it. It is my favorite of the franchise. Maybe because I like Final Destination 1, but it's not like a favorite film of all time. So when they did that, it didn't bother me a whole lot. Just bothered me a little bit. Part of me just would have rather just had to be its own separate thing without any reference to the first film. I actually think that would have been better. I mean, I like Ali Larter, but at the same time, like, again, you could have just made this its own separate thing. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's bloody fun. Number 11, The Core, which I know sometime this month I'm supposed to do a commentary for Robert Kirby 3K on that film. Just had to schedule the time. This is pretty lengthy film. It's like 2 hours and 13 minutes. So it's not a short film. But I liked a lot of those disaster movies. Not every single one of them, but I liked it. And yeah, they could be goofy, and films like The Core are unrealistic and they're silly. But I have a good time in a popcorn style where it's. I like the cast in that: Aaron Eckhart, Delroy Lindo, Stanley Tucci. So I think the cast is fun. I think the special effects, they're they did as good as they could at the time. It was an entertaining idea because so many movies are kind of the typical disasters, but it's been for so long, decades and decades, since we had to go into the core of the earth, kind of like a film you would see in the 50s. So it's the kind of, some of these like, oh, we've had asteroid comets, we've had, storms, tornadoes. Okay, this going to the core of the earth at least made it seem a bit different compared to the others. And yeah, I'm sure every scientist pulled every hair, including the ones on their balls, out of their body of just how unrealistic it was. But number one, I don't know anything about that because I suck at science. And number two, I still had fun. In the same way that people have, like, all those 50 movies. You think they're scientifically accurate? Hell no, but people still enjoy them for their goofy tone or just the as B movie fun, and that's how I view films like The Core. Volcano, you think I don't know Volcano is unrealistic? Yes, I do, but I have fun in a B movie level, and I like the cast, I like the characters. Same with The Core. Number 10, I put Hulk from 2003. I know, like, really? Yeah, because that's one of those films I saw in the theater. I was kind of, on. As years come and go, I kind of like it, then I dislike it, but then I remember I rewatched it and I went, wow, this is just really refreshing as a superhero movie. I know people hate the comic book edits. I love them. I think they're very unique. I like Eric Bana. I like Sam Elliott. I don't mind Nick Nolte. When it has scenes of the Hulk, I think they're fantastic. It shows the power. It shows the strength of the Hulk. I mean, he's taking a damn tank and beating the hell out of it and throwing it football fields away. He's taking a missile, biting the tip off of it and spinning it at helicopters. And he's on fighter jets and trying to swirl it down. And that's some pretty cool stuff. There's a tank that just beats the hell out of it. And I appreciate what it was trying to do psychologically. That it tried to have a bit of a deeper story. A bit more of an emotional story. Now it's a bit lower on the list because Nick Nolte I don't mind, but I think the third act, if it works emotionally where Eric Bana has all this inner pain, you want to take it, and the pain of what happened to his mother and the death of his mother and that PTSD is too much and it overcomes. It works emotionally. I'm not sure if it works the best for a mainstream audience that is wanting action, which you do get more in The Incredible Hulk, the 2008 film. So I do wish there was a bit more that the Hulk could punch and hit and kick in the finale on top. Like, you have both. Have, like, something where he... I mean... I know earlier you had those dogs, but I mean, like... some kind of things that maybe he can mate or something, and then the Hulk fights them, and you get that physical exhilaration of the Hulk smashing stuff, and then here's the one thing he can smash. He can't smash this, but then he uses a different direction in it. But yeah, there's still some really... like the scene when Eric Bana's at the mirror and he wipes it, and then he sees the green hand on the other side, and the Hulk stares at him and goes, "Puny human." That is better than anything Mark Ruffalo has done in his life. Because Mark Ruffalo, he can eat my ass. So, 2003 Hulk, I think, is a bit underrated. I do. Number 9, Phone Booth. I saw this in the theater. Jim Carrey was gonna do this, and like they were getting ready to do it, but he got cold feet. I wish Jim Carrey had done this because I honestly think he could have pulled it off and he would have gotten some kind of nomination for it. I really do. To show a very different type of Jim Carrey and stressed and scared. But Colin Farrell, I thought, did a wonderful job and gave, I think, his best performance. I do think this is his best performance he's given. As a guy that knows all the trades and is on the phone all the time, and then he's stuck in this phone booth. A sniper, voiced by Kiefer Sutherland, is talking to him. And then throughout the day, he just gets psychologically broken down. Because it's about a guy who admits to the world how much of a crap his life has been, how he screwed it up, how he's not the greatest guy. He's got a wife, but he's cheating on her with his girl, and I think it works well because of not only the way Joe Schumacher is able to keep your attention when you're just on this phone booth, so all the different angles, the cast where you have, again, Kiefer's voice, you have Forrest Whitaker as the police officer trying to calm things down, and then Colin Farrell giving, again, an emotional performance, and just how this guy just admits to everything and breaks down but becomes a man. It's about a rambunctious boy who thinks he knows everything, that's broken down and becomes a man afterward. Even to the point of he's willing to risk his life because he thinks it's going to hurt one of them. It's like, no, you tape me, come on, tape me. It's a guy that gains his confidence, gains his soul, his bravery. And even Kiefer's like, wow, you one of the few that learned. Lesson accomplished. I remember it being a very short film. I remember when I saw it in the theater, I went, damn, it's over already? I wish it was longer. Number 8, I put The Rundown. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's best movie, in my opinion. I don't think he was pissing in any bottles here. Voss bottles on set. But I thought Peter Berg definitely put a lot of style into this. With the way they like set up the characters. Like when The Rock is in the bar and he's got to get this ring. And he's talking about how each of the football players and what they do. And it shows their stats and their highlights. And The Rock, and you look at The Rock in that movie, he looks like a completely different human being than nowadays. And this is The Rock I miss, where it's less the fake smile and more of a natural presence. And I thought he worked well with Sean William Scott. You got Christopher Walken as your bad guy. You have some very entertaining fight sequences where Peter Berg knows how to use his slow motion well, but doesn't overdo it like a Zack Snyder. It's a fun adventure movie. Ernie Reyes Jr., Tino from Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, and Surf Ninjas, he makes an appearance in this, which is great to see. Just a lot of fun, The Rundown. A lot of fun. Sadly, I don't think it did the best when it came out, so a bit of an underrated movie. Number 7, I put Paycheck. I know what? Really? I've always liked the film. I might have seen this in the theater. I don't remember. I know it's looked at as the lesser John Woo movie because of the rating, PG-13. But I like the story. I like the idea. I like the gimmick. I like the setup. I like Ben Affleck. I like having people like Joe Morton and Aaron Eckhart and Uma Thurman in the cast. I like the idea of having these set items. And then as the movie's like, well, how does this work? And how does that work? And how is this going to fit into this? And how everything's been pre-planned because of the MacGuffin of the story. Paul Giamatti, I liked him as the comedic, not sidekick, but comedic relief who Ben Affleck sees from time to time. And while it's not hard-boiled or hard-target, it was interesting to see John Woo do something a bit different that I thought was much more successful for me than Mission Impossible 2. Like, Mission Impossible 2 was him trying to do hard-target, hard-boiled, but couldn't because of the rating and the Tom Cruise and all that stuff. He didn't try to copy hard-boiled, hard-target. It's like, no, I want to make a different type of action film. So you got the pretty cool motorcycle chase with some nice stunt work. You have some good stuff at the end that has some good editing, some pyrotechnics. Ben Affleck with a bow, fighting people left and right. So it's not him trying to copy Two Done, Chow Yun Fat. Just if you did that, it'd be an instant fail. Because you're not Jean-Claude Van Damme, you're not Chow Yun Fat. So I like that John would just try to do something a bit different. And I like the story, the sci-fi story. I like the cast. I think it's a fun movie. I always thought it was a bit underrated. That's why I put it a bit higher. Because people want to crap on it. That's fine. I don't agree. Number 6, I put Daredevil, another Ben Affleck film. In particular, the director's cut. But I like the theatrical cut, but especially the R-rated director's cut. Aside from very spotty CGI, which, hell, the first Spider-Man is very spotty CGI. I like this movie more than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies. I know people are going to be aghast at that, but I do. I like Ben Affleck in the role. I like the soundtrack, Evanescence, among others. Bring Me to Life. I remember I played this soundtrack over and over again. I liked a lot of the songs. I like the way the director shot the scenes, whether it be the kid training the song that they use when he's training on the punching bag, the way he visualizes the bat sonar type of senses that Daredevil had. I thought Ben Affleck, Jon Favreau had some really good chemistry when they worked together. That's one of the reasons why I like the director's cut more, because you see more of that. Because it's more about Matt Murdock being a lawyer and less about the love story. Michael Clark Duncan I thought was fantastic. Kingpin. Yes, Kingpin is white. Michael Clark Duncan is black. I still think he did a damn good job as the Kingpin. He had the size, the force, the tenacity. Colin Farrell was a lot of fun as a Bullseye, because I'm bad with names. I like the idea of the tattoo. Not tattoo, but the kind of the... It's not a tattoo, but like someone sizzled this Bullseye into his head. And he was a fun character. When the old lady kills with the peanut. And it's like... Shh. He's just such a sadistic dick in that movie. And in the R-rated cut, I want the fucking costume. And in that cut, the fight scenes have a bit more room to breathe. They're not as edited down, and I think those fight scenes in Daredevil, I enjoy a lot more than the fight scenes in Spider-Man. I do. Him sliding the guy when he's going down the stairs and beating people up, and the fight against Kingpin and wrecking his knees, and getting some nice hits in on Kingpin. I did in the CGI, especially in the fight with Bullseye, when like Bullseye has all the pieces of glass and avoiding them, and they're jumping on those pipes. It's not the best, I will admit, but other than that, I think it's a very entertaining superhero movie. Compared to stuff nowadays, absolutely. Number 5, Bad Santa. I did not see this in the theater, but I thought this was a very funny movie. Billy Bob Thornton owns that role. The sequel is horrible. But the first one I thought was hilarious. Almost every other line. My favorite scene is when the kid wins at checkers. That's just how Bill Butler throws up, "You lying, Saki, shit." Sit there like the lights ain't on. I can't do it justice, but just. And it made sense for the little kid to be this naive and. Oh, hey, you want to play again? At Bad Santa 2, the kid's like. Looks older than me. And it just comes out more creepy and more sad. I think the sequel didn't have the heart that the first one had, among other things. It's also great to see people like John Ritter, Bernie Mac, may they rest in peace. To see those guys in there, definitely a big plus. So Bad Santa I just thought was hilarious. Number 4, The Matrix Reloaded. I know you're wondering how could this be on the list and how could it be so high. I like the Matrix trilogy. I've always liked the Matrix trilogy. I saw those in the theater. All 3 of those. Now I know Matrix Revolutions is not on the list. If I did a top 20, it would be. Because while I do like Matrix Revolutions, I did, well, of the first 3, I thought it was the weakest. I didn't like, that Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss died at the end. Which should be one of the things I liked about Matrix Revolutions, but they did it in such a piss-poor way, I couldn't even enjoy that. But I do like that. But Matrix Reloaded, I saw that twice in the theater. And despite hiccups like that Colonel Sanders, I call him Colonel Sanders, the architect. He looks like the Colonel Sanders. He's ready to sell me some KFC buckets. And he just talks about algorithms and blah, 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 blah. I could feel the audience just go, when he just kept droning on and on and on about this and this and this, like all these mathematics, algorithms, like, you know the audience was, this is the audience. Just the rest of it, I mean, it's like just a high octane, exciting movie where, from like the style, the direction, the scope of it. Lawrence Fishburne has a bit more to do. That badass bit with the sword, the enemies, like the two that kind of phase shift. I think they call like the ghosts. That excellent car chase, highway chase sequence, fantastically done. I like the burly man when he fights all the Agent Smiths. I know people go, well, why doesn't he fly away? Well, again, the reason he's there is to stop Agent Smith. He wants to stop him and stop this guy. That's why he's there in the first place. And he's hoping that with enough time he could stop all of them. I mean, that's why he stayed there. He's trying to stop the guy. And then he realizes it's too late. I'd rather you say maybe he tries to fly and someone would just grab him and pull him down. But it's like, when he first starts, he thinks there's like 2, 3, 4 of them. Then when there's more, he's like, oh shit. And he's like fighting them all. He's like, okay, I can fight them all. Let me see if I can stop all of them. And it's like he's trying to fight, and then that's when he realizes, when he's all grabbed, this is a losing battle. Let me get the hell out of here. When he just sees just the amount that there are. I like his Superman moments. I don't mind the scenes in Zion. I get people's complaints about it though, but I don't mind them. But yeah, there's a bit too much, dancing, raving. A bit, less raves would have been appropriate. Don't need as many raves. Okay. But the soundtrack, the fight sequences, Keanu Reeves has, because he got hurt in the first one, so you notice there's a lot less firefights and more martial arts. So they definitely went in that direction. Granted, I think part of it was the Columbine stuff after the first Matrix. So you never saw a scene like that again with the trench coat and the guns. You see like a little bit in Revolutions, kinda a little bit, but not nearly as in depth. But it definitely went more for martial arts. But I just think it was a entertaining time for a popcorn movie. I just think I could appreciate what the Wachowskis were doing in terms of they didn't want to go the typical route where like Star Wars, good versus evil. They try to have a little bit more meat to the matter, and I can appreciate that. And I saw where they were going, and that era I kind of got sucked into it, where I saw the Animatrix and played the Path of Neo video game, which I think is on that modded PS3 now. I think that has Enter the Matrix as well, which I had a copy. It didn't work. I think it'll work on that one because it's a PS3 modded, so it may work on that one. Just like because it's a emulator. Seems like you have to play that emulator. So maybe I'd like to try that one day. Unless someone wants to request it. But I had fun with The Matrix Reloaded. I do. I still do. Number 3, Kill Bill Volume 1. I saw in the theater. It's my favorite Tarantino movie. Just badass of style and ambitious. The violence. The whole fight at the end of the crazy 88 with all the choreography and cutting limbs off and blood hoses going everywhere. The flashback all done in animation. The usage of music, the color palette and the lighting. The fight in the kitchen. Each of the fights are different. The cast that they got in there. It was cast very well. Just a lot of good style that Tarantino put into that. And I thought Uma Thurman did a good job as the bride. And it was a brutal, bloody, stylish revenge movie. And I like Kill Bill Volume 2, but Volume 1's like very well edited. Very well paced. Didn't feel like there was any boring parts at all. Number 2, I put The Hunted with Tommy Lee Jones because I find that film a bit underrated. And I like that it's kind of like if you took the First Blood novel and made that into a movie. Because First Blood, the movie, it's kind of like the novel, but not really. But First Blood, like Rambo and First Blood, the novel, was much more crazy, insane, and killed a lot more people, including some innocent people. He was too far gone. Of course, Stallone changed that, and we got the Rambo character we have today. But, no, in this case, Benicio del Toro is a guy who's too far gone, who has killing innocent people, he's paranoid, and a tracker who helped train Benicio del Toro, Troutman, Tommy Lee Jones, he's brought in to help and chase this guy down. I thought it was very efficiently edited and paced. William Friedkin, I thought he did a wonderful job. Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro were great opposing sides in this treacherous game. Some very brutal hand-to-hand knife techniques that didn't feel cookie cutter, didn't feel sanitized. Just a badass little movie that just, again, very underrated. And maybe I want to put this a bit higher because William Friedkin, Sally's passed away, and this film didn't do anything. And I thought it was a shame because it deserved, I thought, a bit more love than it got. It's like Rambo. Well, that's what I like. It's like if you took the novel First Blood and made more of that. So there you go. And number 1, which I put on here because it's so much fun. Bad Boys 2. Despite Will Smith going crazy, Bad Boys 2 I saw twice in the theater. It is my favorite Will Smith film. It's my favorite Martin Lawrence film, and it's my favorite Michael Bay film because it is the most Bay of Michael Bay films. It's at his bayest. Is at his bayest. And it's one of those things where Michael Bay pretty much said, screw it. I'm just going to put everything I can and not going to hold back on it. So he doesn't hold back on the style. He doesn't hold back on the camera. The camera's going in, out, over here, up there, swirling around. But it's not confusing. Like when he did Ambulance, that movie got confusing. And to the point I was motion sickness. Here, it was done the right way that I didn't feel sick from all the movements. It's like he had the movements, but they were done in the right way. And they're used efficiently. Like the action scene where they're shooting the other guys and they're in between a wall and the camera's going through the bullet hole, going to 180, then goes through another bullet hole of a door, 180 where you see the bad guys, then goes in, you see the good guys going back and forth. That had another great... apparently this year was like the year of highways, like memorable highway sequences. Final Destination 2, Matrix Reloaded, and this film. Just some of the best highway chase, vehicular mayhem you would see in this year. Not since, the Road Warrior have we seen this stuff. And Martin Lawrence and Will Smith had a good chemistry with each other yet again. And the action was pumped up to maximum. It was surprisingly violent. I mean, hell, there were reviews calling it nihilistic. I'm like, a buddy cop movie? Nihilistic? But then you see the film and it's like, there are people, bullet holes going through people's necks. There's people getting shot in the head. There's people blowing up the pieces. There are bodies that are put into buckets and, hey, this is going to be you next. There are people, falling on minefields and blowing up. They're chasing vehicles with dead bodies that fall out and their heads are popping off. It's like, this is the most insane buddy cop film I've seen in a while. And you just really see just how much of a crazy week this has been for these two guys. And it's like their old The Police Story where they're driving through the whole shanty town, when they're going the bad guy's villa, his mansion, and like blowing gigantic pieces of the damn building. Like, they put the money into this. The money's on the screen. It gives you what you want in terms of excitement, action, and spectacle. And I think a lot of the humor is pretty funny. It's a long movie, but at the same time, it goes in such an adrenaline rush that it just... That's kind of... I like Bad Boys 3, but that was kind of the disappointment was when you compare it to the action in the second film, the third film didn't match up. It was still fun, but it didn't nearly match up compared to the second one. So that's actually a point that I did kind of wish Michael Bay had directed the film. I'd rather him direct that than all these damn Transformer movies. Like, he directed like 5, 6, 7 Transformer movies, but he only directed 2 Bad Boys films. So you have someone write it, like someone else, keep the writing, but let Michael Bay do the action. Well, for the most part, the writing, I'll say that. But the best way I would put it is like Bad Boys 1 I thought was the funniest. Bad Boys 2 was the most insane action bad. And Bad Boys 3 had a good heart to it. And that's why I like the 3 as a trilogy. The fourth one, it doesn't look like much to me. But yeah, Bad Boys 2 I saw twice in the theater, had a good time with that, and it was a boatload of fun, at least for me. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.